Don't forget to subscribe to the channel before we begin. Please enjoy your watch. Here are some interesting events that have happened in history. Maybe you will hear about them for the first time. 1. Roman Emperor Commodus gathered all disabled people in the empire and made them fight to the death in the Colosseum. 2. In the early 1900s, cigarette companies were advertising that they were recommended by doctors. 3. At the onset of World War I, there were only 18 pilots in the American Army. 4. During the American Civil War, 2.5% of the American population perished. 5. Out of the top 10 deadliest wars in world history, 7 of them occurred in China. 6. Most of the British tanks that participated in World War II were equipped with all the necessary equipment to brew tea. 7. Mexican General Santa Anna organized a grand funeral ceremony for his lost leg. 8. Saddam Hussein was given the golden key to the city of Detroit. 9. In the 5th century, Europeans used to eat corpses believing it would cure their illnesses. 10. In the year 755 AD, during the Lushan Rebellion in China, over 30 million people died, which accounted for 1/6 of the world's population at that time. 11. In ancient Egypt, to prevent flies from bothering the pharaoh, the bodies of slaves were covered with honey. 12. Peter the Great, also known as Mad Peter, had his wife and her lover executed, and he kept their severed heads in alcohol-filled jars in his wife's room. 13. In the Middle Ages, prosthetics were made from the teeth of deceased soldiers. 14. In the year 1487, during Aztec temple rituals, over 20,000 people were sacrificed. 15. Out of the past 3,000 years, only 240 years have been spent in peace. 16. The American flag currently in use was designed by high school student Robert Heft as a class assignment, and Heft initially received a grade of B- for his project. 17. During the Ice Age, the people living in the British Isles would use human skulls as hats. 18. In the Middle Ages, animals were sometimes brought to trial and occasionally sentenced to death. 19. In the 1800s, due to the uncertainty of determining if a person was truly dead, coffins were equipped with a bell mechanism. If the buried individual turned out to be alive, they could ring the bell to be rescued. 20. The Mongols would use the body fat of their slain enemies to set fire to the tips of their arrows. 21. In ancient Egypt, when a ruler died, all of their aides and animals would be buried alive alongside them. 22. The last cavalry charge was used during World War II. In an attack on a German infantry unit, 2,000 Mongolian cavalrymen were killed, while no German soldiers died. 23. Alexander the Great would ask all of his soldiers to write letters to their families, and then he would have those executed who did not write kind things to their families. 24. In 2007, a Greenland whale was found in Alaska with a harpoon tip dating back to the 1880s embedded in its neck. This indicates that the whale had been carrying the spearhead in its body for 130 years, living with a harpoon from the Victorian era. 25. Benjamin Franklin designed one of the first coins of the United States. Instead of having the intended phrase, "In God We Trust," the coin had the inscription, "Mind Your Business," on it. 26. The nickname, Bluetooth, given to King Harald I of Denmark and Norway is indeed an inspiration for modern technology. As the nickname suggests, it originates from an incident where he consumed a large amount of blueberries and had the ability to bring people together, hence the name association with wireless connectivity technology, Bluetooth. 27. In the 17th century, the Pauliner monks in Germany discovered a beer called Doppelbock. It was so rich in malt and nutrients that the monks could sustain themselves by consuming only this beer during the fasting period of Lent for 46 days, known as PairUp or Great Fast. This beer is still brewed today. 28. The great Ashoka, the world's first Buddhist ruler, is known for being the first ruler to outlaw slavery, capital punishment, animal cruelty, and deforestation. In addition, he advocated for gender equality in education and religion. These reforms took place around 274 BCE, approximately 2,300 years ago. 29. In the 1550s, a warrior named Galvarino, in an act of defiance against the Spaniards, cut off both his hands. Upon returning to his home in Chile, he formed an army and fought against Spain with swords attached to his two stumps. 30. On April 18, 1930, the BBC played music instead of presenting news because they claimed there was no news to report worthy of attention. 31. In the 1680s, there was a man known as Whipping Tom, who would hide in dark alleyways and courtyards. He would kidnap women and continuously slap their buttocks before fleeing the scene, shouting, "I have whipped." 32. Benjamin Franklin was not the creator of the slang expression, DGAF, don't give a f***, as it is commonly understood today. The story you mentioned about Franklin playing chess with a duchess in France and the exchange regarding capturing kings is often attributed to him, but there is no concrete evidence to support its authenticity. It is likely a fictional or anecdotal account created to reflect Franklin's reputed wit and humor. 33. In the Middle Ages, the word girl was used for children of both genders. Boys were called charming girls, while girls were called gay girls. 34. In ancient Egypt, the pregnancy test was conducted by women urinating on barley and wheat seeds. If the seed sprouted, the woman was considered pregnant. Scientists have found that this method yielded a 70% accuracy rate. 35. In a 2,000-year-old mosaic, a guilty dog and a broken vase are depicted. 36. During the Victorian era, people used to anonymously send hate cards to individuals they despised. These cards were filled with extremely cruel, rude poems and drawings. 37. George Washington and the other founders drank throughout the night in a tavern in 1787. According to the final bill, the 55 people present consumed 54 bottles of Madeira wine, 60 bottles of claret wine, 8 bottles of whiskey, 22 bottles of porter beer, 8 bottles of apple wine, 12 bottles of beer, and 7 bowls of fruit punch. 38. In 1887, a group of men wrote Susanna M. Salter's name on the ballot for the mayoral election to mock her, and all the women in town. However, instead of being humiliated, Salter won the election with 60% of the votes and became America's first female mayor. 39. In the 1880s, pineapples were seen as a status symbol. People could rent one to display at parties, and it was even expected to have pictures of pineapples in their homes. People would save money to buy pineapples and carry them around until they rotted. 40. During the Civil War in 1861, a slave named Robert Smalls managed to escape with a Confederate ship and deliver it to the United States, specifically to the Union forces. He was later given command of another ship and rose to the rank of general. Eventually, he became literate and served in Congress for 5 years. 41. The Roman merchant, who was accused of selling fake jewels, was about to face a lion as decided by the Roman Emperor Gallienus. Despite being extremely scared, when the cage was opened, instead of a lion, a chicken came out. Gallienus, surprised by the turn of events, said the following words to the astonished merchant: "He, for deceiving people, is now deceived." 42. Despite being one of the brightest geniuses in history, Leonardo da Vinci believed that he had not contributed enough to humanity. His final words were as follows: "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." 43. In 1918, a carrier pigeon saved the lives of 194 American soldiers who were in need of assistance. When the pigeon delivered the message, it was blind in one eye, shot in the chest, covered in blood, and one of its tendons in the leg was severed. 44. Ada Lovelace, the daughter of poet Lord Byron, was a mathematician and writer. What made her the world's first computer programmer was her writing on the first ever algorithm for a computational machine. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on my future videos. See you in the next video. Take care.